And welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live here at Citizen Television, the very last JK Live of the year. And we saved the best for last. Yes, indeed. Nairobi County Governor Sakaja Johnson is in the house. The question a lot of people have been asking is, will he suffer the curse of the Nairobi County governors? As in, can he survive more than one term? There was Kidero and Sonko and now Sakaja. Can he make it through a second term? What are your thoughts? He's here to answer your questions. Whatever you want to ask him. He's here.
Kabisa.
Governor, and you don't fear these questions, right? I mean, they do this all. You do this all the time.
All the time, and you must be accountable to your electorate. You must respond to the questions. You must explain the context.
Yeah.
And when you're on the driver's seat, remember I was senator before.
Yes.
I was an MP.
And you were a very good senator, by the way. We liked it when you were senator.
Thank you.
But you became a disappointment as governor so far.
No. And I'll explain. A lot of people are extremely happy with what's happening. It depends on where you look at it from. If you go to the wards, if you look at the children, if you look at our health, and the city needs certain structural issues done. Remember, we didn't start we inherited a county with a lot of issues. And so the first thing you do is you stabilize it. You create harmony. Remember, every 3-4 months there'd be fights. There were gunshots, in the assembly. There was a police post in there. You remember the issues of Mafirifiri, and the speaker gets out, the governor. And so you first stabilize that, and you establish cadences. You establish a rhythm of a government, that is predictable.
Even though you're the minority.
Yeah,
You're the minority.
But you must work. In Nairobi, the voters chose leaders from different parties. Azimio got the majority. Yeah. And you see, you have to now work with them. There was a lot of political friction before that. I'm sure you remember. And so that is settled now. For most part. Of course, once in a while, there'll always be an issue anywhere, but you find a way to... The first job is to manage the politics. Now, once you manage the politics, then you manage the services, and I'm happy with the progress in 2 years because, we asked for a 5-year term. You need that atmosphere to be able to get things moving.
But it looks like you're tiptoeing around your MCAs.
How so?
Because you're the minority. I mean, they can impeach you at any moment.
Most impeachments have been done where the governor has a majority, by the way. And in politically homogeneous counties. Yeah. It's not about that. It's how you create a relationship and an understanding. Because there's the immediacy of needs. People want things done now, today. And so you must manage that also working. So Nairobi needs a special set of skills. You must have the mind of a CEO, the heart of a social worker, the innocence of a dove, the shrewdness of a snake, the grit of a politician, all in one day. There's a fire here, there's medicine required in this hospital, there's a road that has a pothole, there's water that you must provide, yet you must also balance the politics, and then also you're a human being. So you must balance all of that.
All right, let's start with roads.
With the roads.
Roads are a mess.
There's been a big issue with roads.
From Syokimau.
Yeah. And so let me give you some context around that as well. So there's a division of functions, number one, between national government and county government. And roads are classified. If anyone goes online, you'll see what are national roads, county roads, international roads, like Uhuru Highway, Mombasa Road. That's an international, trunk road, and it's classified as A. And so that work is under the national government. So I've seen many photos of cars flying off Jogoo Road, etc. Saying Sakaja, the dimples are on the roads instead of your face. And I understand, the Nairobian doesn't want to know whose road it is. I don't have the resources for that road, for instance, for Jogoo Road, for Agenskovek, for many of these roads.
You don't?
No, those are national roads. And so that is why I reached out to the president. And the president understood and said, look, let's come together The law provides, the Urban Areas and Cities Act, that for infrastructure in the capital, there must be a cooperation between the national government and the county government. So most of those roads are actually not county roads, but we've agreed. In fact, just today, we had a meeting with the president and C.S. Davis Churchill and Kura and Kenha, and agreed what needs to be done now, immediately, to get around, and I'm very happy and I'm grateful to the president. We've gotten around 5 billion, to sort out the CBD roads, to sort out, they issued a tender on Jogo Road, and Akura,
Sukimau,
Soweto Road. The road for Sukimau, Uru Highway. I did a tour with the minister last Monday, because there's a contractor who's been on site. Contracted by Kenha, not by the county. There are 2 contractors. So there are 2 sections. One as you get into Nairobi from the westland side up until Olesereni, and another one from there up to Athi River. We did like 6 hours on the road and said this needs to be done. That's the entry point of the city. And so if you see some sections, there's milling of the road has been done. There's new tarmac that's been put on. We said we must do landscaping, on the sides of the road, under the expressway. We must make sure there's, some beautiful elements, flowers, grass, or whatever it is that can survive without direct sunlight. And are you also urging them to do work at night? Yes. Don't do it during the daytime. So don't inconvenience us. So the contractor on this other side has been working at night. Chiromo side. The contractor on the other side, from Olesereni, has been doing work during the day, and I've asked them, please. What's his name? Kinobia? No, it's the company is called Wolf. So Simba called, but we said, look, let's agree that this must be sorted out. I've seen complaints on Chania Avenue, Kindaruma, and Wood Avenue.
Wood.
Those ones I take responsibility.
That's yours.
It's a county road. The problem is that tarmac had been done on black cotton soil. And so we said, look, instead of doing patches, because we do a patch, that road has been a mess for a long, I used to live there, for a long time. Patchwork is done after 2 months, it's a mess. And so what we've agreed to do is full reconstruction of those roads, full reconstruction from the base level, hard parking, and put proper tarmac.
Gitanga Road?
Gitanga Road is under Kura as well, but we've agreed.
I mean, these Kura people.
And I don't want to blame them, because you see what happens. And that's why the Council of Governors is in court. Because the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, collects a levy on every single user of petroleum products. And it's supposed to be for roads maintenance.
Correct.
But that money is not given to counties. So I don't have the money for maintenance of the roads. It's given to national government through MPs. The MPs have some roads. And so you see what happens is that a member of parliament, and I really work well with mine, for most part, when you give an MP money for those roads or through CDF, no one is going to do Jogo Road, because too many constituencies touch it. They'll take it mashinani. And I don't blame them. Dagoretti North would hardly do Agwins Kovek or Gitanga. They'll go into Kawangware. The Westlands guy will go to Kangemi. He will not do Westlands roundabout in that area. And so because of that, we are making a case as Council of Governors that roads that connect sub-counties, that money needs to go to the counties to maintain those roads. If you go to the wards, you will see amazing work done on roads. If you look at the before and after, because we have ward-based projects, so we assign money to each ward. The highest before was 200 million in 2017. In the first year, I did 735 million. In the second year, I did 950 million, worth of those roads. If you go to Korogosho and see the roads done there, if you go to, even in Kilimani, if you look at behind Oleodume Road, if you look at, so many of them have been done, and we continue to pay that. But counties need road maintenance levy fund.
Your friend in Nambakasi East is saying that the roads are horrible in Nambakasi.
He should tell us what he's doing with this RMLF. And one of the roads that I made a case to be sorted out when we visited with the president was the Soweto Road. Soweto around Jacaranda, and it's been tendered already. Kura has tendered it, that Jogo Road and Landis Road, and it's going to be done. So as a leader, I don't want to shift the blame to the national government, but I want to draw the context that there is a separation But now for the capital, it must be special. And that is why even the Attorney General was there today. We said, look, let's do this cooperation agreement that then gives us the resources, because this is a seat of the national government. Yeah. It is a diplomatic hub. Everybody wants to be in Nairobi.
Correct.
You know diplomats who come, the term of service is done, but they want to stay in Nairobi.
Even after.
And God has blessed us with the gift of location. From Schiphol in Amsterdam, you're here in 8 hours. Yeah. From London, Heathrow, you're here in 8 hours. Yeah. Dubai, 5 hours.
That's right.
From New York, here to New York is 14. New York to here is 11, it's shorter.
Coming back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But then you get stuck in traffic for 4 hours. And so I've been pushing certain things, like the BRT.
Let's talk about that BRT, because...
Yeah. It was stuck, there was an agreement stuck.
That lipstick was...
Cabinet, the national government cabinet, just passed the day before yesterday, actually yesterday, sorry, the funding. We've gotten 320 million euros.
From the European Union?
European Union, European Investment Bank, and the French Development Agency to do Line 3. Line 3 comes from Dandora all the way to Kenyatta in the first phase, 12 kilometers, and then it'll move to Tala, and then up to Ngong. Line 1 is also being funded by Namata. And that is why, if you look, for instance, at an agency like Namata is a national agency, but the chair of the council is the minister, the vice chair is the governor of Nairobi, in as much as it has all these other counties. And so it's just putting impetus into these structures that had been set up, that they must work for the people. And so I represent the people of Nairobi, and so I must also push a bargain, on their behalf with the national government to make sure that we work together, we sort out infrastructure. And this coming, in the next few months, next year, you will see a huge difference.
It's going to be working?
It's lazima iwaka. I was in Addis
Yes.
Over the weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
and if you look at
everything works there.
Not everything, but a lot. If you look at the roads and the kind of lights they've done, and I have a challenge. I've done lights, more than 10,000. But unafanya taa leo, tomorrow it's vandalized. Yeah. Somebody steals it. Yeah. You put a bin, it is stolen. You put manhole covers. And so we've agreed as well today an anti-vandalism, protection of public infrastructure, a special unit within the police to actually say it's a criminal offense. It's like murder. Because the money used to do that work is from hard-working taxpayers.
Yeah.
And so I put lights, like I did the whole of Ngong Road, especially the part from Junction to Karen. Yeah. Then after 2 days, cables are out, lamps are out.
Gone.
And so
and no accountability?
No accountability. And so the police must patrol to take care of this public infrastructure. Just the other day, Kura engineers and team were stabbed on Outer Ring Road, which is a road under them. But they're stopped by people who come in to steal lights, on Outer Ring Road. They were attacked because they don't have, they don't have guns. They're not the police. Yeah. And so I've spoken to the Inspector General. I've spoken to Adamson Bungei, the regional commander, that we must protect this infrastructure.
Let's come back to BRT.
Yes.
When should we expect it to roll out?
Well,
are you going to paint more pink lipstick on the roads in January?
I'm not going to say that because
yes.
that was done in the last administration.
Correct.
Until I got a presentation to explain how it works. I have a good friend called Enrique Penalosa. He was the mayor of Bogota in Colombia. He did the Transmillennium. And if you look at what it provides, first of all, those lanes in the middle, of the road are going to be, you cannot access on a private vehicle. So it's a direct expressway for public transport vehicles of high capacity. They're going to be like depots at Kasarani, for instance. The matatus drop people there, and they get into this, big buses that beats traffic, cuts time, and there are stations that are being built, above the line. It's a model that works. There's 5 lines in Nairobi. There's Kifaru, Ndovu, Nyati, Simba. Being financed differently, I was able to, really ask for support, and we got it with the national government from Africa Development Bank for the Jogo Road line. There's the Outer Ring Road line. The Railway City is going to be one of the hubs. That is a solution to our traffic, number one. Then later, we can do the metro, because you need a metro, underground.
Underground?
Yeah. The metro is a bit expensive. Yeah. It takes time.
And we have a swamp down there.
Well, the studies that have been done, JICA did a study. We actually have areas that you can do a proper metro in the city. The TBM machine, tunnel burrowing, machine, once it's deployed, every day, makes progress. And so what happened is this: during the Africa Climate Summit, one of the ministers who came from France, her name is Crisula. I took her to Kibera to, feed kids, etc. And then I visited in Paris. And she said, you know what, Sakaja, we are supporting Abidjan with 3 billion euros for their metro. And now we're looking beyond Francophone countries. Why don't you try and push for that support? And that's something I'm working on.
Wow.
So that we can get support. You remember, we have resource challenges as a country and as a county. I'm glad that we've been able to raise our revenue beyond, historical figures. We've raised the highest revenue ever in devolution. In the last financial year, we did close to 13 billion.
But you have recurrent...
12.8 billion. Of course, the salaries are also quite high.
Yeah.
Because Nairobi is a service county.
Yeah.
You need to see guys out there, cleaning. You need nurses, you need doctors. We're serving 7 million people during the day. 5 million at night.
Every day.
Every single day. And so because of that, we need to be creative in how we finance the city. And so we're working on things. A colleague showed me what he did with Cape Town with a municipal bond. We've done a feasibility and a study FSD did for us on our green bond for Nairobi. And so we must get creative. If we depend on what we collect every day, I'll just be a glorified cashier, just paying salaries, and things need to be done.
Speaking of collection, garbage collection is a mess.
Yes.
The city stinks. What the hell is going on, Governor?
That again is something to look at, because garbage collection. Nairobi was built the greenest city, the green city in the sun.
Yeah, when we were growing up.
And remember, when we grew up in different decades, but when I was growing up, and I'm sure...
Were you bathing in a basin or... sorry.
Even during your prehistoric times.
Historic.
Look, garbage was collected every 2 days a week.
Yes, maximum.
And you knew that it's going to come. Yes. There were bins given by the city.
Yeah, NCC, yeah.
And so what happened, and people must understand, from 1992, when the national government lost grip of Nairobi because of multipartism, then it went on a freefall. Yeah. So those services stopped. Nyayo bus stopped. Garbage stopped being collected. And then you got the private sector that came in to fill a gap. And so you created this group of people who now depend on, getting paid a lot of money. During NMS, it ballooned. I got pending bills of 16 billion in 2 years to sort out. And so garbage is two things: garbage collection and cleaning a city. It's operations, the logistics around the operations, the trucks, the servicing, the fueling, etc., and manpower. When I got into office, I found an aging staff in the environment sector, and very few. You'd find a place like Embakasi West with only 2 or 3 ladies in their 50s who sweep the streets. And of course, they can't cover the place. And then you find these companies that expect money based on the kilos of garbage they take to Dandora. And so the first thing we did was to hire the Green Army. And we got these young people, 3,500 young people. And I'm sure you've seen them.
I have.
On the streets, collecting the garbage, sweeping. We got some new trucks, And so the challenge that came is this, that when the equitable share fails to come to the county government, the kids have cleaned the streets, they've put the heaps next to the road, your trucks don't have fuel. Because the money that you collect is going to pay salaries as you're waiting for exchequer. And so we realized, look, we need to ring fence the money for solid waste management, number one. And so we've created what we call Green Nairobi Company Limited. We should be launching it in the next few weeks as well. The articles and memorandum is done. So that you have a parastatal, just like Nairobi Water. You have one that is just for cleaning the city, called Green Nairobi Limited. And then you ring fence its money. In your water bill back in the day, you'd see a certain amount for solid waste management. From the water bill. And so we're saying 10% of it, without increasing your water bill, 10% of it must be ring fenced so that the operations money is there every single day. There's no issue of fuel. There's no issue of spare parts, etc. from our garage.
Do we pay more for garbage?
No.
We don't?
Not for now, no. You will not have to, unless you enlist that company. Because we can't kick out the private ones who collect.
Right.
But they'll have to follow certain protocols. So that is number one. Number two, the issue of illegal dumping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody must go to the final disposal site, which is
Dandora.
But many people you pay will create different dumping grounds, across the city, which you've said must be closed. If you go to Gitanga Road, you'll find one. Salim Road, if you go to in industrial area, you'll find one. Karatasi. And so we've said, look, that must stop. We must take everything to the final disposal site by making it efficient. So what have we done? We've signed a waste to energy agreement with China National Electric and Engineering Company. In fact, just this week, if you watched the president at Jamhuri High, when I was there, and I asked him, look, the power purchase agreement must be completed because we're going to create 45 megawatts of electricity from our dam site in Dandora. And once we now completely conclude the power purchase agreement with EPRA, and I said, look, the minister is here, you're here, EPRA is here, can we just agree on how much, cents per kilowatt hour we pay this group that is going to build that factory? As soon as we seal that, they're giving me another 200 trucks. 200 trucks. I already had bought 24 tippers. I have 24 refuse compactors that we have just concluded with Isuzu. And so we'll have the capacity as a county, as we build our own capacity, without necessarily phasing out. We have CBOs, you have youth groups who collect the garbage in Kokoteni, but you find easily you've cleaned it. In 3 hours, there's dumping on the median.
General Waruinge is a mess.
You clean it in 3 hours, the dumping is done. That's illegal dumping. And so there'll be very heavy penalties for that. But also there's responsibility of us as citizens. I remember, and I keep using this example, I was in Kahawa West, where we're building a market, one of the markets we're building. And I find this lady saying, hey, Governor, mambo namna gani? I'm like, sasa, mama. She's selling oranges, tomatoes, mangoes, etc. She's like, tuko sawa, lakini mbona kuna takataka hapa? Say, takataka gani? Just in front of our stall, there's the peels of oranges, tomatoes, mangoes. So I look at her and I'm like, mami, hizi ni ile unauzia watu wako hapa. If everyone also takes responsibility for their frontage, which is why we've issued a notice asking everyone to paint their buildings, to give them a fresh coat of paint, to put a security light. There's the responsibility and there's the rights, and there's what you expect your county to do for you. So Nairobians deserve these services. Nairobians deserve a city that is clean, a city that is, hygienic. We have a greening program, with our Green Nairobi department of now bringing back the trees that we lost along Uhuru Highway, along Mombasa Road, and many of our roads. Yeah, but we also need responsibility. When those seedlings are there, let's take care of them. Let's not walk on top of them. Let's not destroy those. And so what people should expect to see in this coming year is a more orderly, clean, green city, because the first 2 years we've established proper rhythm, proper political stability, and the ability to work for the people. You
sound very positive and very encouraging.
Extremely. It must work, You have two choices.
Yeah.
To be skeptical and say this city is impossible.
Correct.
Or to say we must do whatever it takes to actually get it sorted out. Water was a huge challenge.
Let's come to water.
Huge challenge in the city.
Huge.
Do you know why? The example I've given you on the city, being left to its own devices.
Yeah.
But we'd not built the right infrastructure for water. We had only 4 sources of water in Nairobi. Yeah. Kikuyu Springs, done by Wakoloni, 1906. Kikuyu Springs, just here after, it's called Riga.
In our time.
In your time, those days when you're, in your 50s. So Kikuyu Springs,
yes,
6,000 cubic meters from it was the first source.
Yeah.
1928, we built Ruiru Dam. 1956, Sasumwa in Nyandarua, which gives us like 60 million liters a day. And then finally, Ndakaine between 1994 and 1997. That gives us 84% of our water. After that, it went quiet. Until 1994 to 97, when, that's when Ndakaine was done. But when it was done with a vision of a population of 2 million Nairobians of 2002. How many are we now? 7 million.
In the daytime.
In the daytime. And that's when, most services are sought.
Yeah.
So in total, we have 525 million liters of water coming in a day against a demand of 870 to 900 million liters a day. The first thing we did, which I promised in the campaign, was to make sure the Northern Collector Tunnel is completed.
Yeah.
It had been stuck. You remember President Mwai Kibaki talking about it, those politics around it.
Yeah. Is it done?
It's done.
Is it working?
We've completed the Northern Collector Tunnel. It's just waiting for commission. The water is coming in. There are places that have never received water that are now getting water.
Like where?
Karen, areas in the Ruta. There are places in South B that have never gotten. People are confused, like, what do we do with this now? You know, and if you ask them, they'll tell you, yes, it's coming.
But there's still water bowsers in some neighborhoods,
There's still, because it has only added 140 million liters. Remember the gap between 525 and 900. So we've got now 140 million extra. And so the rationing program will ease up. You know, those who are getting it twice will now probably get 3 to 4 times. And I had to do a lot of reforms in Nairobi Water in terms of how they're structured. I changed the entire board. I put a new team that is there, because our non-revenue water has been extremely high. The areas where we had to even concrete the pipeline, we asked government, as well, and our colleagues to help us with police. There's a water police. I found a lady at Long Airport North Road, what looks like a very innocent kiosk. If you go in and then go down, she has a pumping station, 16 pumps. She's giving water to flats, and also she's Nairobi Water and Kenya Power in one.
No.
Yes, and so you see like Langata, the water issue had been the pressure coming from the Kibra line. We did the line. It had always been through there, and so we concreted it, and then gave them now water properly with the social connections. We did another line through Kungu Karumba Road, the Langata Link Road. But now we, in I think the last 2-3 weeks, agreed to do a tender where the water will come through Karen. So it comes through Karen, comes to Bomas. There's a pipeline through there, the Langata barracks, into the, for the people of Langata to get water. For the first time, they will get it. It must be done. You see, I'm talking about things that I'm seeing and doing every day. Now, once that is done, we need another extra supply of water. And so we've negotiated with, again, partners, the Korean government, and they've committed $100 million. Unfortunately, with the structure of government, I can only get it through the National Treasury because counties can't borrow directly. And that discussion is going on. The $100 million will help us do 2, Maragua 4 and Northern Collector 2. That will give us 180 million liters of water. I tasked my engineers at Nairobi Water, I told them, guys, can you guys configure something? So in Gatundu North at Ngedu, where we do our water treatment, we lose 30 million liters daily through the filtration backwash system. So they've engineered a reverse backwash system at just 2 billion that will give us 30 million more. So that comes around, you'll get close to 220, additional. And there's Karemenu that has been done. That's supposed to bring us 50 million liters going to Ruiru. Fortunately for Nairobi, Ruiru was not ready for that, so it will all come in. We're talking to our industrialists about water recycling. Some of the companies can't do that because of the nature of their products. And I'll give you an example. Of the 525 million liters, KBL consumes 100, a fifth of it.
Wow.
And so we keep telling them, look, you guys, anyway, Nairobians still drink that water later.
In other forms.
In other forms.
Yes.
But if you look at them and East African bottlers, Coca-Cola, they take a huge chunk, Kenyatta University. And so we still need to provide that because they create jobs for us. But once this one for Korea is done, within the next 2 years, the issue of water deficit will be complete.
In Nairobi?
In Nairobi.
There'll be no...
But then we must also again then plan for the next million liters of water. Because the demand goes up by 4% every year. And so it's not as simple as give us water, we want water. It must come from somewhere. The works must be done. Right now they're doing the final test for turbidity, And so a problem happened during NMS time and, around that time. We dug so many boreholes in the city. So many boreholes. So the water levels went down. I had to do one in Kibra and went 400 meters,
As
down.
Opposed to?
As opposed to 200, 250. Now the ones in Eastlands, and it's good for the public to know, the fluoride level is high, World Health Organization says you must do 1.5 parts per million as a maximum. Some are up also 6, 10, and so fluorosis, the fluoride level. And so our kids start getting brown teeth or, problem with their bones. And so we're saying, look, let us provide this water and do dilution because the boreholes were sunk and they're there. And so I just want to assure the people of Nairobi that I'm on it. I'm on it. I understand the problem. I've seen that challenge. We have to be patient enough to make sure we get the resources, build that infrastructure, so that we solve these issues.
You know, there's some people who say that life was better in Nairobi under NMS. I'm sure you've heard that.
16 billion pending bills, you know. And I've heard that. You see, there's what you do for the show that looks good. But then when you do a transfer of functions, you must leave a county better off than you found it. That wasn't the case. You know, until today, we're still grappling with the pending bills. That's why Central Park is not open, because a contractor is still on site from the Ministry of Defense. You know, that is why all these hospitals that have been done without equipment, without nurses and without doctors. And so we must fill that gap. That's why a lot of these suppliers who did honest work, and you know, it's really wrong to give somebody a job and not pay them. Yeah. They did honest work. But around that 15 billion, their money is stuck. We agreed with the Auditor General that this will be sorted out at the executive office of the, you know, at the national level.
Yes.
Because the function was transferred. But I still see these people, they have families, you know, they have children. They did honest work, you know, for most part. But they have not been paid, you know. And so I don't like it. I don't like it. But it's a reality we must grapple with. And I think it's something we must never get back to.
Absolutely. Governor, I want to take a break, come back, talk more about... okay, there is one thing that you have done right, according to people.
Oh, it's not one. Which people?
You're feeding the children.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That seems to be working.
It's working perfectly. And we're going to increase it. We're feeding 300,000 children every single day.
A day.
At 5 shillings. They're all wearing this band. School enrollment has gone up close to 40%.
Wow. Attendance
is at 100. The children feel loved.
Every day?
Every single day. Every single day. We've built 17 kitchens.
Yeah.
And we want to expand the program because the outcomes are good for Nairobi.
That's the governor himself, Sakaja Johnson, in the house, folks. He's talking about Nairobi County. What are your thoughts, your questions, your comments about Nairobi? Is it working? Itawak.
Inawak.
Inawak.
Let's walk to the Wakisha, as I've said.
To the Wakisha?
Lazima.
Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff at Citizen TVK. The hashtag is JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.